Hi guys, it's Jenn at Hello Rigby, and today I'm going to be sharing a bunch of first impressions of new beauty products that I found at the drugstore. So if you'd like to see how I got this look and some of the new products that are available at the drugstore that I'm using on my face today, then just keep on watching. So I've already prepped my skin off camera. I have on lip balm, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump into foundation. So I picked up the Maybelline Dream Cushion. It says Fresh Face Liquid Foundation on the go. I got it in my normal shade, which is 15 Ivory. That's what I buy like the Maybelline concealer in, and so I figured this would be my color. So here is what the inside looks like. I did open it just to make it a little bit easier on camera for myself, and here is what the color looks like. It does look a little pink and dark for me, to be perfectly honest, but I'm gonna go for it and see how it applies. So I'm gonna use the little cushion sponge that comes in here to put it on my face, and then once I have the product placed, it is quite damp. The cushion is very much liquidy. This one is 0.51 ounces, so it's about half the size of a normal drugstore foundation. I think they're usually about an ounce. So I'm gonna go ahead and pat some of this onto my skin. And then once I've got the product in place, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with, so this is the Real Techniques Bold Metals Collection Miracle Diamond Sponge. Oh, that's like super shiny on camera, so it's kind of hard to see, but it looks like this. It's that marble diamond shaped sponge that you've probably been seeing more of recently, since it is like one of the new Real Techniques sponges. And I'm just using it to tap out the foundation. So what I'm noticing about this foundation is that it is very light coverage. As you can see, this little friend that I have on my chin is definitely still pretty obvious. I can definitely still see some pigmentation poking through, as well as some redness and, you know, all of that sort of fun stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do another coat of foundation as well. I would say the color match is actually pretty good. It looked pretty pink and maybe a little bit too dark for me in the pan itself, but I think on the skin it looks pretty natural. I will be checking in later today to let you know how this product performs. Okay, and then I think I'm going to actually try using this sponge in the cushion and applying it directly to the skin from here. Oh, I feel like that actually provides a lot more product. So maybe that's a good way to do it if you want more coverage, is to actually go in with the sponge itself.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me.
I'll get a little bit closer to the camera so you can see. So I see a little bit of pigmentation coming through on my cheeks. Obviously you can still see this guy right here, and I also have a little tiny spot on my nose that is still poking through as well. So I would say this is a very light coverage. It's definitely buildable. It blends in very nicely, but if you're looking for something full coverage, this is definitely not going to be your foundation. I think that's pretty true of most cushion foundations. I have yet to see one that claims to be full coverage. This is definitely not full coverage at all, and that's okay. I am totally fine with that. I actually like these cushion foundations. The L'Oreal Lumi cushion is a great one, and I'm impressed with this one so far. Obviously I haven't worn it all day long enough to give you my full opinion, but it goes on nicely. The coverage is pretty much what I want for an everyday kind of look, and I'm pleased with it. So far, it gets a thumbs up for me. So next product I'm going to try out on camera is the Physicians Formula Full Coverage Concealer. This is #InstaReady. This claims, so this features a pro blending tool. It says it has SPF 30, and it also comes in fair, which I was so excited about. I don't know about you, but Physicians Formula typically has two foundation colors, light and medium. And light is always way too dark for me, and medium is obviously not my color, and I really have been so disappointed that they haven't expanded their products to include more fair and dark skinned individuals. So I'm pleased to see that they've at least progressed and added a fair. So we'll see if they go darker and lighter in their future foundations. But for now I'm stuck mixing in lighter foundations to make my perfect color so I can actually use Physicians Formula products. Okay, so here is what the product looks like. Do I get it? Whoops. Oh, I didn't. Okay, call me silly. I thought this was like part of the packaging I guess I didn't really analyze it too closely. So this is actually separate. So I'm gonna jump off camera really quick and get this a little bit wet. It is pretty spongy, like bouncy already, but I'm gonna get it damp and then dry it off a little bit so that I can use it under my eyes. All right, so off camera, I went ahead and dampened my little tiny beauty sponge from Physicians Formula, and then opening up the concealer here. Now I don't know what kind of packaging this is. Oh, it's a pump concealer. Okay, I was not expecting this at all. So let's see what this does. Okay, that took a lot of pumping. Okay, so with this on the little tip end, I'm just gonna dab this under my eye. Okay, I may have put a little too much on one eye, but that's okay. Looks nice and bright, which I like. Oh, I think I pumped too much. So the pump is kind of weird. At first it was like barely pumping any, and now it's like pumping a ton. So I'll just have to be very careful. Whoops. All right, well, so far I'm not a big fan of the pump as a concealer tool. It's probably my own fault. I probably should have put it in my palm of my hand, done it that way. But this is what happens when you use new products that you're not familiar with and you don't know how to use yet. Okay, so I'm going to use this on my chin to brighten things up, and I'll take a little bit more under the eye, place it on the high points of my face. Okay, and then I'm going to use this side, the little rounded part, to actually blend it in.
By the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, hold tight.
I think it looks really good, actually. You know, to be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect. I haven't used Physicians Formula concealers in a really long time, though. They did used to have my Holy Grail one, but they got rid of it. It was like in a little tube, and it had, I don't know, it just was good, and I liked it, but they got rid of it, so I don't even remember what it was called. It was so long ago. But anyways, this one looks good. I like it. I'm curious to see whether or not it creases under my eyes without setting powder. So I'm gonna leave it alone and we'll just see how it goes. I think I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more and cover up the darkness on my eyelids as well. So when I'm putting on eye makeup, it's not a problem.
Collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight.
I think that worked really well. You can see how much coverage it gives because now my eyelids look way better. Well, so far I've been impressed with both products, but we'll see how these perform long term. We want to check in at the end of the day and see how all of this holds up, because that is the true test of how well products perform. So next up is another Physicians Formula product. This is the Highlight and Contour Palette. Oh, this has a highlight. This would be good as a setting powder. Okay, maybe I'll use this on one eye, set one eye and not the other, and then we'll see which one actually holds up better. I think that's a good idea. I really liked this because of this center powder here. I love the cool tone-ness of this contour, and then the bronzer part looks pretty as well. So I am excited to try this out. I love the butter bronzer, and so I am thinking good things about this palette. We'll see. So here's what it looks like out of the packaging. I accidentally got a little concealer on it from my fingers because they're a little dirty, so ignore that. Oh, there's like a secret compartment, and it has a brush in here. That's cool. Oh, and it has a mirror. Oh, that's super nice. Okay, so this part pops up, and then there's a mirror and a little place for this brush here. I don't know how well this will work. Maybe as a contour, actually. For the contour powder, I think this would actually work. I don't think this would work very well for me personally as a bronzing brush, but I'll use this to apply the contour. So I'm gonna go in with this medium shade here in the palette, and I'm gonna use this as my contour powder. And then I'm gonna use the mirror that comes in this palette. This is so nice. Oh yeah, that looks good. Ooh, that's a good color for me. Ooh, I like this. Okay, so far, you know, as I've said in other videos, I'm not a big fan of super crazy contour. I just want a little bit of defining. And this is a good powder for that, in my opinion. Like the cool tone. Blends out nicely. All good things. Maybe I'll try nose contouring. I don't normally do that, but this one looks easy enough to blend out that. And I like this brush for this purpose too. It's very thin and small. Ooh, yeah, look at my sculpted nose. I'm gonna be looking like I got a nose job. Does my nose look skinnier now? Ooh. feeling very sculpted right about now. Okay, I'm gonna just add a tiny bit more of this to my temple area. And don't worry, I am gonna blend this all out in just a minute with a bigger fluffy brush. I feel like this is really good for placing the contour, but I think I'm gonna use a little bit larger brush and a little bit less dense to actually blend this all out. I do think this is a great brush though, considering it all fits in the palette. If you need something to take with you, I think that's awesome. So I'm gonna go in with a Real Techniques fluffy brush. This is my powder brush, and I'm just gonna blend this out. Okay, I'm just gonna take a little bit smaller brush and blend out this nose contour. Okay. And then on the same brush, since I just used this to blend out product, I don't think it should really have much of anything in it. I'm gonna go in with the highlight powder, and I'm gonna set my right under eye, and I'm gonna leave this one alone, and we're gonna see how this concealer performs. Currently, I'm not seeing any creases on either side. I do tend to have some, you know, I definitely have fine lines under my eyes because I can't help it. I'm very expressive and I smile a lot. So I do have a lot of lines under there. So I'm gonna just set the right eye. Ooh, that is very dusty powder. I'm not sure if you can see that there, where I picked up some powder. Definitely looks a little on the dusty side. That's okay. I kind of expect that. My Wet n Wild one is very similar to that. Okay, so set this eye, not this eye. You can definitely tell it looks very much powdery now. I do have dry skin. I know I've said this 1,000 times, but if you're new to my videos, I do have dry skin, so I tend to not go for a lot of setting just because I don't want to make my skin look dry and like even drier than it actually is already. So that is why I don't normally do a ton of powder setting. So the final shade in this palette is this bronzer shade. So I'm gonna go in with that on this brush here, kind of a fluffy but dense brush. Whoa, lots and lots of fallout from that shade. You can see how powdery it is now. So maybe a little bit more of a fluffy brush would have been better for that, because I'm guessing it's actually pretty pigmented, and it is. Whoa. Okay, probably took a little too much of this. So I'm gonna just go ahead and place the color, and then I'm gonna blend it out furiously with my big fluffy brush. Whoa. Super pigmented, which is good, I guess, because there's not a ton of product in this palette. It says a total of 0.30 ounces, so you're getting about 0.10 ounces each, which doesn't really look like a lot. Okay, then I'm just gonna blend forever. All right, so I think I got a little carried away with the bronzer. This is a little intense. Wasn't really expecting that, so I just took some of the highlight powder and blended that with the bronzer to kind of blend it out a little bit easier. And this is a more dense brush. This is a bronzer brush from Tarte, and I think that this worked a lot better. So dense brush for blending, very light, fluffy brush for actually applying the bronzer would have been better. But this is what happens when you are doing a first impressions and you've never tried something, and sometimes products surprise you. Okay, so that is it for this palette. I would say overall I really enjoyed the contour, and I liked the highlight as well for setting, especially since it is a matte powder. Up next is the Butter Blush. So I just told you that I loved the Butter Bronzer. It is one of my absolute favorites. So when I saw they released a Butter Blush, I had to pick it up. This is the Butter Blush in Plum Rose. So this is more of the neutral color. And if you haven't tried the Butter Bronzer, I definitely recommend getting that. But this one also has the same yummy smell. So this is the color. It is a very neutral shade. And I'm excited to try this out. So I'm just gonna apply some of this using my Real Techniques blush brush. And underneath there is a mirror and this little applying sponge, which I'd never use because I'm a rebel like that. So definitely a very subtle blush. So that was just one swipe. You can kind of see the difference between my two cheeks on how much color and pigment that adds, which isn't a lot. But it's pretty. I like the tone. Overall, I like it. I think the color is really pretty, very natural. Looks kind of like a natural flush. I did add a little bit more since I am filming on camera under bright lights, so I don't think normally you would need to have quite so many swipes, but I did do some extra swipes just because, like I said, filming under very intense light, so it tends to wash color out quite a bit. But yeah, so then the next product I picked up is the Physicians Formula Highlight and Contour Palette, but this one is all shimmer, so this is their strobing palette. I am very excited to try this out. I never would normally use a shimmer like bronzer or anything like that, but I had a feeling that these actually might make good eyeshadow colors, so I figured it was worth it, because wouldn't this be a really pretty eye look for summer or spring? It's so bronzy. I think it'd be gorgeous. And then obviously you can use them all as highlighters as well. But let's be honest, this white one definitely appeals to me. The gold one is also very pretty. I could see mixing these two, for me since I am so fair, mixing those two colors would be really, really pretty. On this little setting brush, I think I'm gonna take the blend of these two together, and I'm going to use that to highlight the high points of my cheeks. I bet this comes with a brush as well. Yeah, so this comes with the same brush as in the last palette. And these are pretty dusty as well. There's a lot of powder that kicks up when you use it. Ooh, this is pretty. Whoa. Okay, I figured these would be pretty pigmented, but whoa, that is crazy. That is super, super pretty. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more of the gold toned one. Ooh, that's so pretty. Oh, I like that gold tone one over the top. Oh, that's really pretty. Ooh, I like that. That is so pretty. Add a little bit more gold to this. And then I'm gonna take it down my nose as well. Ooh, that's really pigmented. So I think I'm gonna have to blend some of that out because that looks a little cray. So for this, I think in the future, I would probably use a fan brush because I don't think you need to use something like this at all. This is definitely very pigmented. Or even like the small stipple brush from e.l.f. would probably work pretty well. I'll blend this out a little bit with this brush because it does have kind of the looser, less dense hairs. And then I'm just gonna run my powder brush that I've dusted off, and I'm gonna blend that out a little bit. And then one more thing I'm gonna do is take this sponge and I'm gonna run it down my nose just to tone down that highlight just a little bit. There, that's good. I think that looks better. I just don't want a nose highlight that looks super crazy because it was looking a little too spotlighty here. I think that looks perfect. Very pretty. Very impressed with that. I mean, look at that highlight. That is intense for Drugstore. I can't think of another Drugstore highlight that is quite as intense and pigmented as this. And then this color I think could also be a good like blush topper. So maybe I'll add just a tiny, tiny bit of that. Knowing how pigmented these are, I definitely don't want to add too much, but I could see that being really pretty. Oh yeah, that's like super pigmented. I barely took any and I went like that. Just barely blew it off. Obviously don't do that if you're doing that on somebody else. It's gross, but it's just me. Ooh yeah, that's pretty. Okay, I'm just gonna dab just a tiny, tiny bit out just because it is a little bit strong. You just have to be very, very careful with these powders. They just are so pigmented. Not complaining, just saying. Just saying. A little pigmented. So next up is eyes. So I know we've already done our face makeup and you're not supposed to do that and yada yada, but whatever. I normally don't see much fallout from these palettes from Maybelline, so I figured I would probably be safe. So this is the Maybelline 24K Nudes palette. Has lots of shimmers and really pretty colors in it, so of course I had to have it. Let's get this baby open. So that is what it looks like. Very pretty. So there's also neutrals, there's some gold. I really like this like pink champagne shade here and this gold here. So I don't know, let's just do some eye things and see what happens. It's not really a great crease shade. They're kind of either too light or too dark. I think I'm gonna go in with this one first. It's a little darker than I would normally start with, but actually maybe I'll go in with this taupe shade. Maybe I'll kind of blend the two together. We'll see what happens here. Those are a little bit darker than I expected, to be perfectly honest. So I'm gonna blend this out. Looks really pretty though. It blends really nicely.
Make it last for
You know, I've heard really negative reviews about the Maybelline palettes, but honestly, I don't have a problem with them. They are definitely not the most pigmented palettes in the world, but I have personally thought for the drugstore price point, they're not bad. Okay, so I'm taking the rose gold shade, the lightest one in the upper right corner, and I'm just gonna put this all along the lid.
stop in time.
And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye. I just switched brushes because I like this one a little bit better for packing on shadow. I don't know what I was thinking with the other one. And then I'm gonna go in with this purple color here, and I'm gonna add that with a pencil brush. It goes on and looks brown. It just doesn't look purple. So I'm gonna try adding it anyway. Maybe it'll look more purple on the lid. The one thing Maybelline could do for these palettes is add a mirror. That would be very helpful.
Hold tight, hold
Yeah, it just looks dark. It doesn't really look purple at all to me.
can't make
Which I mean, I guess is fine if you just need a darker shade, but I was hoping for a purple. I thought a pop of like purple would be fun, but it's not. Okay, I'm just gonna put that in there to kind of darken up the look for now, and then I'm gonna actually try this gold shade now because, well, if we're not doing purple, might as well do gold. Okay, so the gold is this one here. Come on, gold. Give it to me. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, I like that.
dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you.
That's really pretty. I'm digging the gold. That's a good shade. You definitely want to use a like pack on kind of motion with that though. Really want to pack that pigment on. It's really pretty. And then I'm going to take a fluffy blending brush and I'm going to take this shade here. So I used that one in my crease earlier with a little bit of a lighter shade. So I'm going to go back in with that just full strength and I'm going to blend out my crease.
Dripping lights paint the skies, only you.
That's pretty. I dig it. Okay, now I'm not done yet because I want to make sure this all looks nice and blended. It doesn't look too harsh and crazy. So I'm going to grab my favorite Morphe brush. This is this huge brush that I love to use with a neutral shade and just blend everything out so it looks nice and seamless and doesn't look so harsh on the edges. So I'm going to use this kind of creamy shade. Oops, down here in the corner, the little brush in here just fell out. I'm just going to use that to kind of blend everything in.
Can make me move. You can make me move.
All right, and then with a mixture of that rose gold shade and the very light color, I'm just gonna go in and highlight the brow bone area. On this side. And then I'm gonna pop that into the inner corner as well. Those two colors mixed are really, really pretty. Reminds me a lot of Sin from the Urban Decay palette. Just one of my favorites from the Naked palette. Kind of has a slight pink tone, really pretty. Okay, and then I'm gonna also finish up the lower lash line on my pencil brush. I'm gonna just take that color that I used to blend in the crease, kind of that dark brown shade, and just kind of smoke it out just a little bit. This wasn't necessarily supposed to be a super smoky look, although you could definitely can create lots of smoky looks with this palette since it does have so many deep tones. And then I'm just gonna run my fluffy blending brush just one more time. I'm gonna use that along the lower lash line just to blend that out. Yeah, I think that looks pretty. It's not too crazy smoky since I didn't go super intense in there, so you could do this day or night. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with this. I guess the only shade I wasn't really happy with was the purple shade, just since it isn't really purple. It's kind of brown and not that great. I wasn't really that excited about it, but I haven't tried obviously all these shades. This green one looks interesting. I wonder if that looks, it's not that pigmented. It kind of has the same issue as the purple one. It's not super green and it has just kind of loose sparkle in it. I wonder if this, that's nice. That is really nice. So let's see what that one looks like. It doesn't look as good when you swatch it, but it feels really nice. So I feel like this would be a good shade to like really smoke out in the crease, just since it is pretty soft. And then this one looks like another mess since it does have lots of sparkle in it. It's this last dark shade here. Oh, actually, that's not bad. You know, Maybelline eye palettes are just, they're not quite as pigmented as what you get high-end for sure, but I definitely feel like they're workable, and for the $10 to $12 price point, I think they're really great. They're really especially good for those who are starting out, who maybe aren't ready to splurge on a higher-end palette. I think this is a good one. Overall, I would say it gets a thumbs up from me. We'll see how long the eyeshadow lasts, obviously. I don't want to say that and then by the end of the night my eyes look like a freaking hot mess with no eyeshadow on. I didn't see a new eyeliner at the drugstore that I hadn't tried yet, so I am just gonna skip eyeliner and go straight to mascara. Don't always have to do eyeliner with every look. Sometimes I forget that. So I saw two products though. The voluminous lashes, I got this actually in my Target subscription box last month, and I figured this would be a good time to use it and try it out. So because I want to test the actual mascara that I got too, I'm just going to do this on one eye so that we can see the difference. So since I'm doing all of my testing on this eye, since this is the eye that we set, I figured I'll just do the primer on that side as well. So maybe I'll look a little lopsided. I am going to film another video while I'm testing this stuff out, so don't mind if I look a little lopsided in that one. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference, though I shouldn't say that. Never know. Okay. So I'm going to put this primer on, so it's just like a white mascara wand. And I guess I'll put it on the lower lashes as well. Might as well see what it looks like. And then the mascara we're going to be trying is the CoverGirl So Lashy Blast Pro. I haven't used this before. I just literally put the mascara wand into the tube so you can kind of still see the purple a little bit. So this is what the wand looks like. I got this in an influencer box last month and I just hadn't had a chance to try it out yet. So I figured this was as good a time as any to try it out. So this is the primed eye, so I'll go ahead and put it on here first. This little ball tip is actually really nice. You know, I was kind of afraid of it, to be perfectly honest. Thought it would be like easy to stab out my eye, but it's actually really nice to pick up individual lashes. I have a couple areas that are a little more sparse, and so it's good. Although I do notice it kind of chunking up a little bit. So it kind of works at first, and then if you go in again, then it kind of just makes them all stick together again. Ooh, too much product there. So that is one coat with the primer. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm gonna pop over to my left eye, and we have not put primer on this one. So this is just the mascara on its own for the first time. I think that this eye, very subtly, you can see a little bit more volume, like the lashes itself, the lashes themselves look a little bit fuller here, like they look thicker. On here, definitely a little bit thinner lashes, but I don't necessarily notice them. I guess they maybe look longer too. So I guess longer and thicker, and over here just, I mean, it looks fine. It doesn't look bad. Go on the lower lash line as well. Yeah, same thing with the lower lash line. Maybe not longer, but thicker. I think I feel like the primer helps adhere the mascara to the lashes a little bit better, maybe. Okay, so I'm going in with one more coat. Here's the only thing I don't like is every time I go in, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like this little thing that comes popping out of the end that I have to keep wiping off, so the tube itself is getting kind of gross. Overall, I like the mascara. I think it looks good. I actually think it looks good on both eyes. I would say again though, there is a slight difference between the two. Just this eye looks a little bit fuller and darker, the lashes, than this eye, but it's pretty subtle. And then for brows, I got the Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volume. I got this in soft brown. Blonde looked a little too light for me, so I went with soft brown this time. So I've done nothing to my brows today, so I'm just gonna use this only. I usually do use a pencil and a brow gel of some kind, but we're gonna just see how this performs. Ooh, this is so weird. It's like a little tiny comb. Oh, it's a little darker than I expected. Oh, wow, it really pulls at each individual hair, which is so interesting. Definitely unlike any other like brow mascara product I have. Kind of makes them look, I'm not sure, a little crazy, honestly. Just different, not bad, just different than what I'm used to. Like, it's definitely helpful with pulling them up. I think I should have gotten blonde. I think that I would have liked blonde a little bit better, but that's okay. It gives you kind of, here, I'll get in a little bit closer. It gives you kind of that messy brow look, which is really popular, you know, among some people. I don't usually do the messy brow thing, but I kind of dig it. It's fun. It's definitely different. I think it looks pretty cool, actually. This is interesting. I'm kind of down with this. I haven't seen anything like this, so props to Maybelline. Yeah, I actually really like this. You know, at first I was like, whoa, this is different. But once you get kind of used to it, it looks pretty cool. Definitely looks more like on the natural side. Here, I'll get a little bit closer so you can actually see. Definitely looks more natural than a lot of like, it's definitely not like the Instagram brow look. It's the natural, but like fluffed up and a little more intense look. I dig it. This has been fun trying all these products. I'm actually pretty stoked about all of them, to be perfectly honest. There hasn't been something that I've just been like, oh, that sucked. So I got a couple of these actually. I got 4. May have already busted into 1, I'm sorry. Technically not a first impression since I did try 1, but I only used it once, so it doesn't count, right? Okay, so I got 4 of the liquid catsuit from Wet n Wild. I was so excited to find these at Fred Meyer. I bought as many as I could, and I went back a couple days later and they were like almost sold out. They had like 2 left. I was like, oh, well, good timing for me, bad timing for everyone else. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is go for lighter. I was thinking I was gonna do darker, but I just did a dark lip, so I'm gonna, on another video, so I'm gonna do these 2. So I'm gonna do this lighter pink. It is called Give Me Mocha. I'm gonna do that all over, and then I'm gonna do the nudie patootie. Oh my god, that is adorable. I'm gonna do that in the center to kind of brighten the look up. So this is 1 coat of Give Me Mocha. I think it's really pretty. Kind of a terracotta rose color, very pretty. Dig it. And the wand itself is very interesting because it has kind of a flat side. All right, and then I'm gonna take the lighter color, Nudie Patootie, and I'm gonna pop that into the center. This looks like a really pretty nude color for somebody like me who's nice and pale, because it's hard to find nudes that aren't super warm toned, like pinky. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of the mocha color back into the look. I just wanna have a little bit more on the bottom lip. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is pop a little highlight right here. And that is it for this drugstore look. So I'm gonna check in a couple hours and let you know how everything has worn throughout the day, and we'll see what everything looks like. So I'll see you in a few. So it's been about 8 hours now. It is almost 11 o'clock. I am tired. I really want to take my makeup off and finish this video up. So I'm just gonna show you how this makeup lasted throughout the day. Didn't really do much today other than I filmed another video, which is why I changed my clothes. I always do that. I don't know. It just helps me keep track of what video is what. Riggy, stop please. Riggy just got some food. He got an egg treat because we had eggs for dinner and I saved him one, and it had to cool off though. He's very particular. It has to be nice and cool so he can actually eat it. Anyway, so I just wanted to check in and show you what happened with my makeup. I did accidentally pick at my zit a little bit. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm on the computer, I like mess with my skin. So that is not the fault of the concealer. That was my fault. But you can see that this little zit right here also is poking through a little bit. I'm gonna get my mirror so I can actually see it myself. It's kind of hard to see in the viewfinder. Obviously the lip product did wear off. You know, we ate dinner. I also had a little bit of a light lunch. I had a couple small pieces of pizza, so it was, you know, there was definitely some grease happening, and it definitely wore off in the corners. It wore off in the center. Kind of gives you that like butthole lip look, which is not cute, but it's understandable. And then it's kind of wearing wearing off around the edges as well, so there's more of a defined line, which I'm not really a big fan of. You can see the highlight that I put on at the very end is kind of wearing off, and I also am getting a little bit of oil on my nose and throughout my T-zone, which is to be expected. There's a little bit of breaking up of the bronzer. It's nothing too serious, and it's really hard to tell, to be perfectly honest. Like, I'm being really picky here. But overall, I think the products look really good still. So this was the under eye that I set, and this was the one that I didn't, and I think I prefer the one that I didn't set. So this is the one that was set, and this is the one that wasn't, and I think that this one looks a little bit drier, and I think the fine lines are actually accentuated by the powder more than this eye. So I think I would say don't bother setting this concealer if you have dry skin, but maybe if you have oily skin, I would say if you're gonna go for this this cushion foundation, you're probably gonna want to set it if you do have oily skin, because there's no way this will last all day on an oily skin person. But for me, it's great. Like, this amount of oil is totally fine for me. I have no problems with it. I actually think this looks good just because it gives me a little bit of a glow, and it's not bothersome. I think it looks good. As for the eyeshadow, held up really well on both eyes. The mascara looks good. I would say it's hard to tell now at this point which one was the one that I had the primer on. As a reminder, it was this eye that had the primer, this eye without. I think they look very similar, so I don't think it really makes a huge difference. It does look like the brow product has started moving a little bit up here. But it's nothing major. You have to be really, really close to be able to actually see it. I don't think anyone is going to be analyzing my face that closely. So obviously a lot of first impressions here. I think that the face products lasted very nicely. They didn't really have much breaking up, and I think that everything just looks really good still, in my opinion. Like, it's been, you know, a full like work day worth of time. This is about how long I expect my products to last, and I'm pleased with all of these. So I think the only thing I didn't like is this bronzer in the Physicians Formula palette, because it's too dark for me and it's too intensely pigmented for my preferences. I loved this contour powder. I think this is great. I probably won't use this very much, so I have a feeling I'm gonna end up pulling this powder out of this palette and this one and putting it into my Z palette so I can travel with it, and just throwing the rest of this away. And then I love the highlighters. I think these are really great. I like this. Wasn't so sure I would like this one here, this like bronzer one, but it was a really pretty blush topper to kind of amp up my the butter blush, which I thought was really pretty, but because I had so much going on with everything else, I just wanted to amp this up a little bit. I think this would be a beautiful everyday blush. Yeah, so overall, I'm really, really pleased with everything that I picked up. You know, it's always a risk when you go to the drugstore and you buy a bunch of stuff, especially because some of this stuff was a little pricey. Physicians Formula is about, I think I paid $15 for each of these. There was a sale, so Fred Meyer had a buy one get one half off sale, and then there was an additional couple bucks off of each one. So I did get some savings, but these still started at $14 to $15. So overall, I'm really pleased with everything that I picked up. You know, I try to do my due diligence and make educated guesses about what I think will actually perform. I don't want to show you stuff that's garbage, and I don't want to buy stuff that's garbage. So based on like what I know of these brands and what I know of their strong suits, I tried to pick items that I thought would really perform well, and luckily it looks like I did. So overall, I hope this first impressions review was useful and helpful to you to know kind of what is good at the drugstore right now and what you should buy and maybe what you should avoid depending on your skin tone or what you need or whatever. So if you liked this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. In 2017, I'm excited to be doing more video. I hope these are useful to you, and please let me know in the comments down below what you want to see next. Do you want to see more first impressions? Are there reviews of certain products from the drugstore or maybe higher end or from Ulta or Sephora that you want to see? Just let me know in the comments down below. Your feedback is so helpful and it really helps me figure out what I'm going to do next. So anyway, I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!